Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Elise here of Plan with Elise, and today we are talking about what I read in the month of October 2022. So this is a year-long collab with my friend Jess of Knit Plan Jess, where we each share what we read during the month, how we set up our planners to document the process. So I'm using a Happy Plans and Notes. This is my perpetual calendar. I actually forgot to write something in here. We're gonna do it now because this is actually being filmed on the 31st, and I started a memoir called Broken. I don't believe I'll finish it today, which is why I'm fine filming this video before the day ends and just knowing that this is my October. So I write down when I start a book. This one got a little bit messy because I was reading a few different books at a time. And then these are my previous months. Let's flip to October. So I use a little dot sticker to track the days I read. So I actually did pretty well this month. I feel like maybe I read more than I have most months and finished 13 books, which is pretty good. Probably, I don't know if it's my highest or not. My favorite book of the month was It Starts With Us. I'll talk more about the books that I read as I get through more pages, but more pages in this. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, which is the sequel to It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us, I liked. I didn't love. It Starts With Us, I loved. I feel like It Starts With Us redeemed the challenges I had with It Ends With Us. Memorable quote was not actually from It Starts With Us. It was from Just Haven't Met You Yet by Sophie Cousins. Maybe life is more about carving out happy chapters than finding a single happy ending. And I read 4,340 pages, which I think is my record. Then I use this monthly overview to write down like kind of when I start a book and sort of brainstorm books that I want to read. I'm doing the same thing so far in November. So continuing the book Broken, and then reading Maybe Now, which is another sequel for Colleen Hoover. Well, is it a sequel if it's the third? Probably not. I don't know what it's called. Okay, A to Z challenge. So I was missing a few different things, but on Instagram, someone said to me that books that have the letter count, it doesn't always have to be the first book or the first letter. So I ended up adding for X, the X, which I read, I think in September. And then I feel like I added one more. Maybe not. QSTU. Oh, disability visibility. I added because the V for visibility. So I know technically this one, the X, doesn't start with the letter X, but it's my planner. It's my book journal. I'm just going to go for it. So we'll see if I get through a Z one. And then I don't know that I added. I feel like I did add something in here. But now I can't remember which one it was. Maybe I didn't. No, I don't remember. Shoot. I feel like I need to track these when I do them. I don't know that I did. Okay. Well, next month in November, I am going to be reading a book that has been banned. And I have read books by Jewish authors this year, but I've also used them for about a historical event, which is about the Holocaust. So if I don't end up reading another book by a Jewish author, I will probably fill this in. I also have a feeling that for December, maybe even November, I'm going to cover up a few of these. Now, I'm going to read a book that has been banned. And I've been looking for other ones, but when I set up this bingo challenge in December of 2021, it was really setting up like, oh, what I thought might be good for me to read, but I feel like I'm having trouble finding some things that I want to read. So rather than like force myself to fill in some of these challenge and like the classic literature published in 1987, since the year I was born, before 1987, some of them it's like, okay, there were a lot of books, like I wanted to read something that was budget focused, dating focused, Black main character, etc. But now that I've gotten through the ones that I really wanted to be sure to check off, I feel like I may change what some of these bingo ones are. I have finished 93 books this year, which is kind of crazy. And then this is my like monthly review. A lot of these pages are available on my Etsy shop if you are interested in having them for your planner. one that's not is the A to Z challenge. It'll probably be coming in December. So I'll share that in November's video. This is my Reading 100 Books page, which is also available on Etsy. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more to go. I think it's possible. Wait a second. Am I missing something? Did I just say I've read 90? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 more to go. I don't remember what I was about to say. Oh, I think it's possible that it might happen in November. I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of losing some time in November because I'm going to be away, or by the time you watch this, I'm already back, but because I'm going to Florida, I'm losing a few days, but I will probably have time to read on the plane. So there is that. And this was the previous 100 book tracker that I didn't have 100 books in here. I only had 96, so I redid it. And this was the original page that I had made. That was like 60 something books. All right, let's continue. So I haven't used these pages much, but as I was looking back through my Goodreads Choice Awards 2021, when I did this original flip through in, I think, December or January of last year, I was like, I don't know how many of these I'm really going to read in terms of my style. But then I realized the last thing he told me, which I just finished, was my last book of the month, was on this list. So and Broken is one that I'm reading now. So I'm going to get a few of these done. It was never my goal to read all of them. It was just wanting to make a list of things to look for, of books to look for if I was interested. But some of these are just not going to be my style. Horror, sci-fi, fantasy. Yeah, some of them just aren't going to be young adult fantasy, aren't going to be books that I want to read. Okay, now we have my favorite pages. These are my book kind of review pages. So I have them for all of the books that I've read this year. Okay, we're going to do some reviews together, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the books. Now, this Give Me Love was an addition to my A to Z challenge. So I actually only read this because, well, I was looking for a G book. And I saw Give Me Love by Corinne Michaels. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's a sequel. First, I have to read Help Me Remember. So these are actually both going to get 5 stars. I feel like I need to maybe take these pages off. These were both really, really good books. Help Me Remember is about a girl who loses her memory in the midst of a family tragedy, but they can't tell her what happens because she's the only witness to the crime. So they need to try to get her to remember without telling her what happens. It's interesting. And there's some romance tied into it. So selfishly, we all want things, but doing what is best for the other person is what love is my memorable quote. This was a one day read. And I often get questions about how I can read a book a day. I can usually read about 100 pages an hour if it's something I'm really interested in. So figure if I read before work or while a video is uploading or on my lunch break and then a couple hours after work. Sometimes I have the time to do that. Not all times, but sometimes. And then Give Me Love was the sequel, which was also really good. It was a little bit more suspenseful. No one is safe from everything, but if we never try, what is the point in living? So I really liked that one. This one is Frida McFadden, which I've read a lot of Frida McFadden this year. She's a thriller author. I like a lot of her books. I'm going to give this one 3. And the reason is because there was one point in the book where I was like, did I miss a chapter? I don't understand what's happening. There was a lot of back and forth and I just couldn't figure it out. And I feel like if I'm struggling figuring out a book, I get a little mad at it. So there's that. The sister-in-law, I'm going to, here. The sister-in-law, so the ex is about, it's about someone's, I don't want to give too much of these away, but it's about an ex that shouldn't be in the picture and is maybe in the picture and kind of goes from there. The sister-in-law is about a family vacation, and the husband's brother brings his new wife that no one has met to the family vacation in Italy, and she's problematic. So we're getting 4 stars here. The trust had gone, and when there's no trust, there's really nothing left. I also want to note, about how I get books. I mainly read on my Kindle, and I use Kindle Unlimited and also the Libby app, which is a library app, to read. So it's not often. I think maybe I've bought like 3 books this year. So I'm really doing a lot for free, quote free. I did buy the Kindle, and I do subscribe to Kindle Unlimited, which I think is $11.99 a month. The Devil You Know is a sequel to something this year, and someone on my last video told me that there was a sequel, which I was so happy about because I was talking about how it was a little bit too short. So thank you for letting me know that. The Devil Wears Scrubs, that I felt like it was too short. Then we have The Devil You Know, which I thought was really good. It's going to get 5 stars. And this is about a doctor and kind of her life 5 years after the first book, which was when she was in her internship. Keep it secret, psychological fiction. It was fine. Fine for me is going to get 3 stars. But it's about a woman who adopts a little girl, a social worker who adopts a little girl, and something happens. So we'll just leave it with something happens. Token Black Girl is a memoir by Danielle Prescott, and it's about her experience. Oh, I never read this, and that's when I lost it. Let me tell you, if you are a man, never tell your wife to just chill out. Not a life-changing quote, but definitely a quote worthy of sharing. Okay, Token Black Girl is about so it's a memoir, like I said, Danielle Prescott, who grew up in a predominantly white area. Well, she went to school in a predominantly white area, even though she lived in a predominantly Black area, but went to like a high-end Connecticut private school, and just kind of talking about her experiences throughout growing up, schooling, and as she developed her career and everything like that, being the quote token Black girl and what that looked like. And there were a lot of eye-opening moments for me. So I would definitely recommend this. White supremacy works deliberately hard at convincing Black people that feelings are off limits to anyone not white. This is going to get 5 stars. Okay, next up we have Luckiest Girl Alive. So I saw that there was a movie on Netflix, but it was like before I watched the movie, I want to read the book. I'm going to give the book 4 stars. I felt like it took a really long time to get to the thing, because the whole book alludes to a thing and you just don't know what it is. The movie, if you saw the movie, talks about the thing within the first 5 minutes, but the book doesn't. So it just took a while to get there. And sometimes it's like, okay, I think it was about halfway through the book where it was finally like, oh, that's the thing that happened. And the rest went really quickly. It was just that the beginning part was a little bit slower. All right, it starts with us, 5 stars, because, oh wait, let's quote this. All my life, I found it difficult to advocate for myself, to ask for what I want. I fear burdening people so much. And I relate to that a lot. It Starts With Us is the sequel to It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us is a book about a love story, but then there's domestic violence. And It Starts With Us is the sequel to that, of what comes next. So my choice helped me realize that sometimes the hardest decision a person can make will most likely lead to the best outcomes. So I really appreciate that. Then we are on to another Colleen Hoover, because when I get on a Colleen Hoover kick, I get on a Colleen Hoover kick. So this is Maybe Someday, and this is about a girl. It's girl meets boy. But what's interesting with this girl meets boy is that he's deaf, and I find that to be a really interesting dynamic when it comes to a relationship with someone who is hearing and someone who is not. They spend a lot of time texting or Facebook messaging, and then that leads to problems. So highly recommend this. Sometimes in life, we need a few bad days to keep the good ones in perspective. Now, this was a little crazy because this is on October 24th. I read it, and then there's a sequel that I actually also read that day. The sequel is really short, 160 pages. So I actually read both books in one day, which I also did in August with Colleen Hoover books. And now there's a third called Maybe Now, which I will probably start reading on the plane. So Maybe by the time you see this video, I will have finished that. The only difference between falling in love and being in love is that your heart already knows how you feel, but your mind is too stubborn to admit it. Then we have Just Haven't Met You Yet, which is a book I started earlier in the year, but I have to be in the mood to read romance, and I don't mean like in a romantic mood. I have to be okay with a love story. And sometimes in my life, depending on where we're at, I'm not always in that mood. Like, you may have seen my November goals video where I shared that started seeing someone that's no longer happening. And so like sometimes when I go in these ebbs and flows of dating, I'm not always in the mood to read someone else falling in love when I'm just like in this weird time in my life. Not weird time, just in this single time in my life. But once I actually got through it, I thought it was good. I'm going to give it 4 stars because it wasn't mind blowing, but it was good. Little travel love story. It's about a woman who is a journalist for a magazine or an online publication in England. And she travels to Jersey, not New Jersey, the original Jersey, to kind of track down her parents' love story. And in the meantime, has a meet cute and finds out things about her family that's not what she thought it was. So it was just interesting. Maybe life is more about carving out happy chapters than finding a single happy ending. And that was my favorite quote that I read all month long. And then on Friday, October 28th, I read The Last Thing He Told Me, which was wonderful. It's about a woman whose husband disappears after his where he works. There's a like financial indictment and kind of what happens next. So very, very good. Most people don't want to hear the thing that will make it work better. They want to hear the thing that will make it easier. And then I've set up these pages for my 100. So we are 7 away. I did make some more because I thought that if all I have is 7 to read in November and December, I probably will read more than 100. These stickers here, the number stickers, I have from Proud Sticker Designs because she made ones that go to 100 because most date stickers we get in the planner community are date stickers, not numbers. So, I mean, they are numbers, but they only go up to 31. Then I have the star here from Art Creations. Also, a ton of these printables are available in my Etsy shop, and you can use code YouTube for a discount. I have a couple here, like these are examples. We have the monthly review, reading 50 books, reading 100 books, and more to come. So let me know if you've read any of the books or if you found this video interesting in the comments. Make sure you go check out Jess's video and subscribe to her channel for some wonderful reading content, Bujo content, daily planning, and more. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do take a moment to like this video and subscribe, and I will see you next time.